Hello, and welcome to Pressing Buttons. I'm Hugo.
I'm Nick.
Another great week, another great episode coming at you. Thanks for joining us on Pressing Buttons, your favorite video game podcast. Uh, just a little quick heads up, which I'm keep reminding everybody, but make sure you guys join us on Discord, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. We love your support. We appreciate your support, and we want to have success together. We want to have together success. We succeed, you guys succeed, everybody succeeds. So please make sure you guys are following us and liking us and just boosting up all of our stuff.
Family.
Yeah, like Vin Diesel says. Also, he says Groot. But yeah, so make sure you guys are doing all that. That gets us more notice, and the more notice we get, the more you guys get noticed. So, all right, that's enough of me. Just
I was wondering how many different versions of that you could do. You're good for three, at least three, maybe.
That's enough of me sucking up. All right, okay. We're just going to get right on into some exciting video game news. It was a good week, I think. We had some stuff that got announced that we were super excited about, and there was a lot of stuff that we want to talk about. The first thing we want to talk about, and you guys should know this because we're big From Software fans, is Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. They announced the release date, which is going to be August 25th, I believe. And then they also showed about 3-minute gameplay video. For those unfamiliar, Armored Core is basically a action-packed mech warrior type game where you pilot a mech in different worlds. From Software has been known to develop these. It's been a while since they made one. They announced that they had been working on this one a couple months back, which is very surprising since they just finished working on Elden Ring, and they're still working actually on Elden Ring DLC. So pretty quick turnaround. In the trailer, they showed a lot of action, which I really enjoyed. They showed the world Rubicon, which is where it's going to be mainly set. A fiery world, burned to ashes supposedly. Everything burning down. And they showed a lot of mechs. Gave me a very, very Dark Souls vibe just because of all the action, everything, all the combat, all the mechs in there. I've said action a lot, but yes, action. And then the intense and big size of all, like some bosses. They showed a glimpse, bosses you would say, but just basically other mech robots. They showed like a big sandworm, but mech worm thing that was pretty cool. It looks really great. What are your thoughts on this trailer? Did you enjoy it?
Oh yeah. How many times have you watched the trailer?
This one not so much, I would say.
Really? Okay.
I would say maybe 3 or 4 times. But it's a hype trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, those are low numbers for you, because I feel like if there's a game that really catches your eye, you just keep rewatching that trailer over and over again.
Yeah, the only reason I haven't watched it too much is just because it just kind of got me really, really hyped in a sense. I wish they would make a Gundam game just based in this world with the same aesthetics, but just with Gundams just killing each other and all that, and it's perfect. So, if that gives anybody any ideas, make a Gundam game. But go ahead with your impressions of this trailer. How many times have you watched it?
4. That's a big number for me, because I usually just watch the trailer once and I'm good to go. But the trailer I thought was very well done. Showed way more gameplay, but I guess it's only the second trailer, but the game's coming out pretty soon, so I guess it's kind of this situation where they were able to actually show more than you might otherwise expect from a second trailer. Looks incredible. It's more Souls-like influenced than I thought, which I'm a fan of. I'm definitely in favor of that. I love almost all of those games, and I've never played Armored Core. I'm generally familiar with the franchise. I maybe played for a little bit one of the PS2 games. But it's not really a franchise that I ever got deeply involved with. And I don't for some reason, I like mechs and that type of sci-fi thing, but I don't know if I've ever really clicked with a mech game. So for me to see that type of game and being oh my God, actually that looks super fun. It looks incredible. I want to play it. I don't know if I've ever had that. I don't know. Have you played many like mech games that you really enjoyed? I feel like it's hasn't really.
Well, I wouldn't say that many. I think fondly remembering Zone of Enders, I think that was the only one that I kind of remember that I really enjoyed. That
Yeah,
I would say would be the most similar to this game. Obviously, like you said, from announcement to gameplay trailer to release, it is a short window period. But obviously, they've been working on this, and I also didn't play a lot of the early Armored Cores. I think I played two or three, but briefly. It wasn't something that drew me in just because um, I like that the mech aspect of it, but it wasn't really done well, I would say. But like you said, it's heavily influenced more now by Dark Souls. It is the same studio, obviously, but you can see where because they made so many Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, now Elden Ring. Since they made another the last Armored Core game, you can see where that influence seeped into this in terms of one the trailer because the trailer had that whole you just died or you've died kind of vibe with the wording and the text that they had against the black backdrop.
Cinder.
Yeah, that was hilarious. The
It was like
Rubicon
Game of,
obviously.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the Rubicon world obviously with Burnt to Ashes and stuff like that. The voiceover. I think everything just has that very heavy Dark Soul vibes, which we'll enjoy. Very curious as how that's going to translate into this world because obviously we're not going to have like the difficulty is not going to be the same. You're going to be in a mech, flying around, shooting shit. There's going to be a lot of shit getting shot at you at the same time. So very interesting how it's going to be translated. But I think I have one of the utmost confidence in From Software in terms of giving people what they want and actually good gameplay and knowing what they're doing. So I'm excited for it regardless. So and
Yeah.
it's coming out in August.
Yeah,
So
I
like
still can't believe. I mean, I love that's. I think they've done that pretty consistently, where they might announce a title and then they don't really say much about it until a few months before it's coming out. So I'm very much in favor of that type of approach. But yeah, I think as I was watching the trailer, like again, it's more Souls like than I thought it was going to be, and really, it's like instead of rolling around, you're boosting around, and I think they have way more melee weapons in this than in prior Armored Core games. I think maybe there was some melee stuff happening, but for the most part, you're just like strafing around and shooting, like just trying to like hold on to a target and blast them with whatever gun you have equipped. So I think the fact that they're also leaning in more on melee options is kind of maybe making it feel a little bit more closer to a Dark Souls game than an Armored Core game.
yeah, they said that they're gonna have four weapons. Basically, you'll be able to put, like you said, a sword, a javelin, something melee. You also have beam cannons, missiles, just different stuff. So sounds exciting in terms of the variety of weapons you'll be using, and also you'll be able to kind of make your perfect armor core, your AC. You basically everybody will be able to have like a different version, and they're gonna have the arena mode, which is gonna be like a simulated training exercise, which is will be fun to try out, see what people can do different things on that, and just show the world what they've been able to do. But it's From Software, one of the best developers out there in terms of gameplay, story wise, and just in terms of getting the material out there in good quality and everybody enjoying it. So
Yeah,
we're looking forward to that. Maybe a little game of the year contender in there on the down low. We'll
I mean,
see.
if they, I mean, it's I don't know. Game of the Year is going to be real. It's going to be a tough one this year, but I could see it. There's definitely a chance that it's at least nominated for Game of the Year, which I would be just super impressed by that. I mean, From Software, if they can like nail this game, like I think it kind of puts From Software in kind of like its own class in terms of just being able to consistently put out. Because I think Sekiro won game of the
Yeah,
year, so it's like
yeah.
it went from Sekiro to Elden Ring, and then maybe this game ends up winning it, but I think this year is particularly challenging just with so many big releases. But I think it'll again. There's a shot it gets nominated. But I mean, if they can deliver that at that level, like what other studio has done that?
Yeah, that's what I was
Like,
gonna say. They have Sekiro, like you said, that won Game of the Year. Bloodborne, I don't remember if it did. I think it did win Game of the Year just because it was great. Then you have Elden Ring, and then obviously Dark Souls. And these are all, you can obviously tell they're from software franchises, and they kind of they all have the same kind of main aesthetic, but they have something different enough, something new enough where you can tell that they're experimenting and just trying to make a different game. So like even though it's a from software aesthetic, they're not all the same game. So that's why I'm kind of like saying this might be a little dark horse game of the year. It might surprise us.
Yeah, yeah. The way I kind of think about their games is the games that they make now are kind of like when I was younger and dreaming about the perfect game. Like I feel like that's like exactly what they deliver. Like if I were to imagine like what I want from a sci-fi mech game, like it's literally like that trailer. Like it's just like it's like incredible how they can do this stuff. So, but yeah, so I went from being just because I love so many other games. Again, not a big Armored Core fan, big From Software fans. So when they made the announcement, I was definitely like, okay, I'm gonna pay attention to this. And then this trailer just made it shoot up to like my probably top 5 like most anticipated games of this year for sure.
And the other thing, which I wanted to mention real quick, is also the world itself. From Software is always good about just building these big arenas and environments that kind of draw you in, but they've never done anything with this type of industrial aesthetic, and it just looks. I mean, not that they've ever done it, obviously, because they made the other Armored Cores, but just I'm saying in a new scale, with this type of scale, with this raw power that you have from the consoles and able to make everything in the PCs. It looked great just from the video, so I'm pretty sure you'll be able to just explore this vast Rubicon world to a big extent, and I'm excited for that too, just because they do so well with the environment and all that.
Yeah, I think they have some of the best artists in the business. All their level design and character art is just incredible. And then even if you go back into the trailer, I mean, it's a lot of just gray and brown and just because
Red,
like that,
because of fire.
but like it just looks incredible though. It doesn't look like muddy and boring.
Yeah, it doesn't look very. It's not a bland gray and brown.
Yeah,
it's very
it doesn't
colorful.
look like it doesn't look like an Xbox 360 game. I don't know if you remember that era where like every game
Yeah,
was just like
gears and all that just look
yeah,
the
yeah.
same.
So this looks like very eye popping and attractive. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so if you didn't have it on your radar, make sure you put it on. Armored Core 6, releasing August 25th. We'll put the trailer in the show notes so you guys can get a glimpse of that, and maybe you'll watch it a couple times like we did, or maybe more. The next thing we wanted to talk about is Honkai Star Rail. It is the new game, semi-new game, by the developers of Genshin Impact. What's the name?
Hoyoverse.
Hoyoverse. I keep forgetting
It
the
used to
name.
be called they used to be called MiHoYo, and then they changed their name, and I feel like
It's
that's
too
just
many
kinda,
like just weird names that I got to keep up with.
yeah,
Honkai
yeah.
Star Rail, Genshin Impact, Hoyoverse, all that, whatever. But Nick has been really, really grinding on that Honkai Star Rail. It was one of the games that he had been looking forward to. We discussed this at our beginning of the year. Games to look forward to in the first half of 2023. So we're going to give it away to Nick and have him tell us his impressions.
Yeah, I think this game was announced maybe a year ago. I think we talked about it. I can't remember what showcase it was, but there was some trailer, and I'm like, oh, like, cool,
Yeah,
it's,
it was announced as well with the Triple Z, Zoneless Zen Zero or whatever it was.
yeah. I think it was
they
a
announced.
Sony showcase, right?
Well, it was either the Sony or the Summer's Game Fest.
Oh,
I
it might
feel
have
like it
been
was
Sony.
something
Okay.
like that, and they announced both of them. Obviously, this one came out first.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, even with that initial trailer, I was all in on something from the Genshin Impact team, but taking place in space. That's basically exactly what this game is. So I've been playing it a ton. But yeah, I think it was about 4 or 5 days ago. There was Hoyoverse did a launch reveal or launch show or something like that. So that day I was like, okay, let me check out this launch show and see if there's anything interesting. It ended up not being interesting at all, and was
Womp womp.
kind of, yeah, it was just like around, it's like they always bring in these like influencers and people, and they just like didn't have good chemistry, and they just like it was just kind of like
Real
not.
quick, was this like an American showcase or was like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was like the Hoyoverse, like US brand guy was hosting this with like three other people, three other influencers and content creators. So I get the what they're trying to do. They're basically just trying to introduce people to the game, high level mechanics, talk a little bit about the lore and all that. But I think it was like 10 or 15 minutes into it, I saw people like spamming in the chat that you could actually like just get into the game now. So I was like, all
You
right,
don't
I'm
have to
done.
watch this
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Because I think it launched earlier than it was supposed to by like a little bit. So I'm like, all right, I'm done with this showcase. I'm just gonna like just start playing the game. So, but yeah, that was like Tuesday night or whatever, and I've been playing
Yeah.
it. I've been playing it a lot over those last several days. Really enjoying it. I think people are obviously going to draw a lot of parallels to Genshin Impact, uh, which I think that's true. Like it just the game looks beautiful. It's super smooth. The music's fantastic. It's the gacha style, kind of model. So you're, rolling for stuff and all that. But I think there's like some really big differences that actually makes me prefer this game over Genshin Impact. So the big one is the combat system. So Genshin Impact is much more of like an action oriented system. Honkai Star Rail is turn based, so it's very much kind of classic Japanese role playing game, turn based combat, which I've been like I'm okay with that. What I'm still kind of conflicted on is there is like an auto battle. So there's an auto
Every
battle
new
mode.
RPG these days has an auto
Yeah,
battle now.
there's auto battle, and then there's also like fast forward, so you can like double the speed or whatever the rate is. When I first saw that, I kind of like my spider sense thing. I'm like, oh man, like is this going to be like when I was playing Nino Kuni and the whatever that online game is? I was getting like memories of that, but it's not. So I think it's actually good. So basically, it's there as an option if you're doing something that's like maybe a little bit more grindy. You can just leverage auto battle. But if you want to, for more like important like story, if you want to like actually play the game, you can do that. And then I think for certain key battles, you it's like not an option. So for certain instances, like you're not able to do it, and you actually got to use your brain and come up with a strategy to beat the boss. So that was interesting. So it's actually ended something I ended up liking, having it's turn based with like an auto battle option. Whereas with Genshin, you don't necessarily have that. And if you like are in a situation where you need to grind and just like kill a bunch of enemies that have just like a ton of HP, it's just that was like one of the reasons why I would get kind of like turned off by Genshin, is just like it felt way too grindy, and I just didn't want to like keep hitting a boss
Yeah,
for an hour, like
you
just
have to
to
hit buttons. You
yeah.
have to
So
press some buttons.
exactly, yeah. So that's one big thing. The other is it's Honkai is way less focused on exploration. So like you can't jump. There's no jump button, which I think kind of tells you a lot. And there's no gliding mechanic either, which both of those are very prominent in Genshin Impact, where you're just kind of like going around. It's very much like Breath of the Wild type exploration, where you're just going around and trying to discover stuff, and you'll come across puzzles and whatever. So it's less that. It's more kind of dungeons with that are pretty small, at least what I've experienced so far. So it's more kind of like a bit of a dungeon crawler that has pretty big hubs, pretty big towns. Like, so that's where you're doing your like exploration. But and I think I prefer that as well. Actually, like it's fun to have these like giant worlds to explore for a little bit. But with Genshin, it just kind of became like so expansive that it was just like too much for me. So I think I like the more kind of structured dungeon crawling of Honkai. So I think yeah, those are maybe some of the bigger differences versus Genshin. I really like all the characters. I think that's like another big thing. Whereas like I found the Genshin characters to be like a little bit more polarizing. Whereas I think people generally like most of the characters in Honkai, which I think again that's important because it's a free to play game, but then you generally need to like spend money to get some of the premium characters. And the fact that the free to play characters are actually like pretty good and you can just play the game with those and probably be totally happy. I think that's an improvement versus Genshin. So yeah, I think that's that. So I've gotten through like the first world. I don't know how much more content there is. I think there's also like way more content at launch for this versus when Genshin came out. I think that was like a pretty big criticism of Genshin where people just plowed through the game very rapidly and had like nothing to do. So I think Hoyoverse has learned a lot with that and has kind of set up Honkai to be a little bit more, successful in like the launch window.
Now, two quick questions for me is one, which genre do you like more? I know Genshin is more fantasy, and then fuck, I just had a blank. Genshin is more fantasy, and Honkai is more sci-fi. Which of these two genres do you like more? Which one is more pleasing so far?
I think sci-fi. I mean, it kind of depends. I'm totally happy with both, and I play both. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably go sci-fi. I was definitely getting some, and we just talked a couple weeks ago maybe about rewatching Outlaw Star.
Yeah.
So there's like a little like I kind of feel a little bit of that in there. Certainly, Fantasy Star Online. Not as much, but like there's some of that kind of vibe in there too. So yeah, I think I like that. The other one that's interesting is so Zoma Zen. What's the third Z?
Zero.
Zero,
Triple Z,
yeah.
yeah.
Triple Z, yeah. Like what is that? Is that like more like cyberpunk? It's kind of like futuristic.
It is. It does look
Cyberpunk, but
futuristic.
it's not
We
like
haven't seen enough, I
space.
think.
Yeah,
But it's not
not
in
space.
space. It's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
futuristic, cyberpunkish.
Yeah, but no, it's a good question. Like I like most things, but yeah, I probably prefer the sci-fi aesthetic. Also, just like being in a train flying through space is like pretty cool.
Is
So
is that the rail part of?
that's right.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah.
Well, and then the other question that I had is, do you think? Because I know you're a big fan of RPGs. Do you think this is you'll be able to handle like doing this and then Final Fantasy coming out in a couple of months and just kind of still sticking with the RPGs, or you think it'll be different enough where you don't mind?
They're very very different. And also, this is a live service game, so they're kind of designed to be. Right now, I'm like playing it a ton, but I think once I get through most of the story content, it'll revert to more of the like you just kind of pick it up and play it a little bit here and there until the next big content drop. So I think it's something that I could continue playing really in parallel with any new big release. So.
Well, it's going to be interesting, especially with, like you said, the months to come, years to come, to see what they offer, and how you'll be able to split your time, whether you go back to Genshin, whether you stay with Honkai, or whether Senless Zone Zero is going to be your thing. So definitely an interesting game. If you haven't checked it out and you're a big fan of RPGs, it seems like Nick is giving it his seal of approval.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, this might be way premature for me to make such a comment, but I think I'm probably done. I'm just done with Genshin, and
Wow.
like, yeah,
That is a bold That is a bold statement.
Maybe I'll jump back into it, but yeah, for me, like I much prefer Honkai.
All right, there you go. Now another video game to just drain your time, to just take all that time away, which is what we like. So we don't mind too much. All right, next topic we wanted to talk about is Jedi Survivor PC performance. In terms of Jedi Survivor, I have it on my closing thoughts because I did purchase it, but we're mostly just going to talk about the PC performance. This is definitely one of the bad ports that we've had this year, along with Wild Hearts, Hogwarts Legacy, Callisto Protocol, The Last of Us, and others. This year has been a very, very bad year for PC ports of a lot of heavy AAA games, just because they all seem to be launching busted. And then they launch busted. The studio releases some lengthy apology saying, we're sorry, we wish this wouldn't be it. Well, if you would have launched a good game, it wouldn't be it. But it's affecting the sales, obviously. It's affecting the reviews. A lot of the Steam reviews, a lot of Metacritic reviews have been in the negative, not because the game is a bad game, but because the ports are so bad, the graphics are bad, just having a whole bunch of issues. I had my issues with Wild Hearts. I love Wild Hearts, obviously. I think it's a great game. I put 60 hours into it, but I did have a lot of issues with the performance, with the graphics, with just getting online with people. A lot of my friends downloaded the game, bought the game, and they don't even play it because of how bad it was. Hogwarts Legacy, which I've been playing a bit, I think it's crashed more than 10 times. It's pissing me off. Callisto Protocol did not get to experience that, but I know it had a lot of issues. And obviously the Last of Us PC port had a lot of issues. I think they just released a 25 gigabyte update to fix a lot of those issues. But, I mean, this is a bad state to be in for releasing PC ports. I have a PC. I have a very powerful PC. Thanks to Nick. Nick is always the number one PC rooter. He's like, get a PC.
I know. Well, now I kind of feel bad.
Yeah. So
I think we've both invested a lot of time and effort in building beefy gaming PCs.
Yeah.
And I feel like the ROI on that has been so strong in the last 6 to 12 months, just with a lot of huge releases.
Yeah.
Launching with problems.
And the main thing is that when a PC port is done well, how great it looks, how great it runs, and how much you enjoy the game. But these last couple PC ports, especially for these high-end titles, have definitely been lackluster. I blame Cyberpunk, because once Cyberpunk released and all the hype it had and all that stuff, I think that was the beginning of all this shit.
That played great on my PC.
No, I'm not saying it didn't play great, but it had a lot of issues in terms of the glitches and all that stuff and not being complete. CD Projekt Red released an unfinished game, had a lot of issues, didn't have all the content that I think they promised people with the graphics and all that stuff. And I believe that kind of set a pattern for all these developers, or just kind of games where I think they thought it was okay releasing games unfinished and then just apologize for it later and fix it in a year. No, I want my games to be good and ready and playable when I purchase them. What are your thoughts? Have you had any games that you've had issues with that you've been disappointed?
Yeah, of course. It's been a trend. I think the most recent one was The Last of Us, which was devastating. And usually, what I do when I buy a new game is, particularly a port, is I'm like, okay, what are people saying around PC performance? I'm trying to get any feedback on any signals that it might not perform well. And I just didn't even do that for Last of Us. I just kind of skipped that step of my due diligence, and I was like, oh yeah, it's Sony and that'll be fine, and it's one of their giant games, so there's no way that they're gonna release it in a poor state. And yeah, so I bought the game, and basically it was awful. There's this whole the installation process was kind of crazy, and then the stuttering was so bad, and then crashing and all that. So it's pretty disappointing. Earlier when you were talking about Jedi Survivor and reviews, the one thing that I thought was funny, and it's not unique to Jedi Survivor, I think this has been pretty much always happening, but the first thing I see, on Twitter, and I start seeing all the reviews coming through, and you're just like, holy shit, like this game's amazing. Like it's all like nines and tens and maybe some eights, and so I'm getting like all excited about buying the game because I previously mentioned I was kind of more on the fence, and if it got good reviews, I'd buy it, and so that was my trigger to be like, okay, I'm gonna buy this game. But after just going through this with Last of Us, I wanted to like wait and see on PC performance, and yeah, then that's when a lot of the review bombing came through on Steam, where people were just like super upset around the PC port. And then that's like begs the question of why is it like how can a game, is it okay that a game gets like a 10 but is basically unplayable on one of the major platforms that it's released on? So I just find that odd. Like why do I have to go through like this other step?
Well, I mean,
You know?
I don't find it odd. I mean, I'm against it. I do not condone it. Obviously, I'm so mad about it. Obviously, I want to play it on PC because I have a PlayStation 5, but my PC is more powerful. I think it shows everything better. But in terms of the accessibility of it and just have it up and running, the PS5 is better. I did buy it for PS5. I read all the reviews about the performance on PC, so I was like, definitely not getting it on PC, but I want to play the game, so I got it on PS5, and I'm okay with that. I don't, like you said, I'm not okay with it just not playing at all really well on PC. Obviously, I wanted to play really well so I could have my choice, but when you kind of pigeonhole me and push me to one platform, that does bother me. Especially because EA has had a long run of good single player games. I know Need for Speed Unbound got a good reviews. Wild Hearts in itself got good reviews. They have this that Immortals game coming out. They've been really pushing after all those years of people heckling them because they said that single player games didn't sell well. They've really been pushing that single player agenda, which I was hyped for. But with these releases, it turns you off. You don't want to play these games. And like you said, it got such great reviews, but not performing really well. How much, more could it have sold if it just worked? Where like now people are gonna have to wait maybe 5-6 months before it's fully playable with no issues, and then it's on sale or something like that. Like it's a travesty. They need to stop doing this.
Yeah, the YouTube channel Digital Foundry. Are you familiar with them? They do like technical
Yeah, that was one big one that I saw.
Yeah, they actually just came out and made a statement of like this game should not be sold. They literally should not be selling this game. Which I think that's like the first time they've made such a grand statement like
tough.
that. So, which I think that's more or less what Cyberpunk did, right? I think that was with PlayStation, right? They basically took the game off the store.
They took the game off of the PlayStation Store and for PS4.
But I think that was a PlayStation decision, right?
Yeah, the PlayStation took it off, but then I think Microsoft followed suit. They took it off for PS4 and for Xbox One, just because it was so bad. Like, yeah. But it's not. That's the thing. It's not bad. Well, it's not that bad on PlayStation 5 and Xbox One S or One X or whatever. They're performing well. Maybe not the greatest, but it's definitely outdoing the PC versions.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's tricky. I feel like it's definitely a trend. There's no chance that the developers and the publishers are like blind to how bad these games are performing on certain PCs. Like they must know. So I can only guess it's like a vocal minority situation where it's just like all of the high-end gaming PC enthusiasts who are just pounding the table, but the number of people that is versus like the total number of people who are buying the game is like a pretty small percentage. So they're just like, oh yeah, like, well, we're just going to release it anyway because it's like not that many people, and we'll have like a social media strategy to deal with that. They had some DLC. They're giving away some free DLC to make up for the fact that you actually can't even play this game on the PC.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's what at least the first half, hopefully not the full first half of the year, is going to be known for, just bad ports. Obviously, we have a lot of big titles that will be coming out in the second half, and I think those are, have been worked on for longer and are better quality. Hopefully, Final Fantasy 16 doesn't release with any issues.
No, I was actually just gonna say like that's why I feel good that it's Final Fantasy 16. It's PS5 only, at least for at least a year, right? So I feel pretty good that they're not gonna release that game with any issues. So
Yeah, and I mean it's in regards to the reviews. I mean the performance had a lot of people have been giving bad reviews because of the performance, which is more plausible and definitely a real issue as opposed to like I know Horizon the DLC is getting bad reviews and that's just because there's Alloy kisses some other girl in there and that's just bigotry. Like yeah, I'd rather give bad reviews because the game's bad, not because two girls are kissing. So fix your games. Stop making me be mad about having a PC. And Rico's mad about me having a PC too. That's right.
yeah. So I don't know if that makes you feel any better, but I do have some guilt for basically saying you should have a PC for probably like over a matter of years, right? And then you finally have one. I don't know. You got at least a couple years out of.
Yeah, I think it's not bad enough where like I'm totally regretting it. Obviously, I have a lot of other games that I play that are really
Yeah.
good, but like you said, the main reason is because of how great it looks and how great it runs, and the fact that these new generation games and stuff like that have been performing so bad. It's just a real downside. Like I don't want to wait a year for a game to be good and me to download it so I can see how great it is. Just fix your shit. Fix your shit, PC.
Yeah.
All right. Next thing we wanted to talk about is the ASUS ROG Ally. It's a new Steam Deck competitor releasing by ASUS. It will be $700. I don't know if that's the base. I think there's going to be a cheaper version, but basically it's $50 more than the highest end Steam Deck. The highest end Steam Deck, which we both have. I think it's just based on memory. The main differentiator on this is that it's going to have a full Windows OS system. So you'll be able to basically install Steam. You'll be able to install Xbox Game Pass. You'll be able to just play about anything. It's a full PC version of it. It's going to have a 7-inch screen with 120 hertz refresh rate. Starting off at 16 gigabytes of memory. You also have a 512 gigabyte SSD. So it's a real Steam Deck competitor. I'm kind of regretting, well, you know what? Let me not say that. I was going to say I'm kind of regretting getting a Steam Deck, but not really. I love my Steam Deck. I love the power that it can do. I do not like that it's very Steam specific, where the ASUS Ally, I think, obviously it's not Steam specific. It'll be able to do so many other things. That's the only thing I'm regretting. But this is definitely a competitor. I know a lot of people on our Discord and on WhatsApp have been just kind of sending this and talking about it. It definitely has gotten more buzz, I think, in my group of gamers than the Steam Deck was, just because the Steam Deck itself, like I said, is very Steam specific. So I think that turned off a lot of people, and for a lot of games that they're not able to play on the go. What do you think? Do you think this will give Valve a run for their money, or it's just a matter of time before Steam Deck 2 comes out, which will blow this out of the water?
Could be. Yeah, I think they've made a comment that they're planning on doing a second version of a Steam Deck at some point, but I don't think that's probably pretty far away. I think they'll get a lot of runway out of the current version of the Steam Deck. No, I mean the device looks super impressive. I think people are just eager to get their hands on it and actually play with it. But I think from a pricing and tech specs perspective, I think people are pretty happy. It looks cool. I think the fact that it's not necessarily just a Steam only device could be attractive to some people. I think for me, like I just have so much already invested in Steam. I really only play like a couple of games outside of Steam. So, maybe if this device is able to solve for that, like maybe I'd be interested in it. But I'm really not in the market for another one of those, these types of devices. I think Well, it sounds like you basically regret buying a Steam Deck, but
No,
I don't.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna go and buy another device like this.
yeah, exactly. Like I'm totally happy with mine. I will be starting to travel more, so I think my thinking is I'll get even more value out of it when I'm on the road. Uh, but yeah, so I'm happy with it. I'm good. Like I'm not looking to like refresh one of these devices every year, or every couple of years, or anything like that. Like I think I'll get a lot of mileage out of the Steam Deck, and maybe like in a few years, I'd be looking to upgrade.
All right, so let me give you this hypothetical. You have none of these devices. You've seen the specs. They basically have both. They both have 7-inch screens. The Steam Deck has a 1280 by 800, whereas the Ally has a 1920 by 1080 with 120 hertz, as opposed to the Steam Deck being 60 hertz. And then the Ally has a Zen 4 processor, where the Steam Deck has a Zen 2 processor, and then the Steam Deck has RDNA 2 graphics unit, where the Ally has RDNA 3 graphics unit. If they were both available to you right this moment and you had neither, would you still stick with the Steam Deck, or you'd be like, the Ally seems like a better choice
No, not
overall?
not necessarily. Yeah, I think if I didn't already have one, I would still wait on reviews, which I think should be coming through soon. But I would just look to see what people think, and I think people like everyone's very aware of this being in direct competition with the Steam Deck. So I think with all the different like tech YouTubers and game reviewers out there, I think people will probably have like a pretty clear recommendation on which one they would want to go with. So I'll just look to that. Yeah, I mean, I think people were surprised by the pricing. I think they expected it to be like
Over a thousand or something
approaching
like
a
that?
thousand or over a thousand. So I think with this price point, like I would definitely be considering it.
Oh, you didn't answer the question. If it turns out to be good, which one, Steam Deck or this?
Well,
Would
no,
you
I
buy?
just need more. I just need more. Like if the consensus from all the people doing these types of reviews, if they're saying get the Asus one, I'd get the Asus one.
Gotcha, gotcha. So it
Yeah.
has to be more like a push to get you away from the Steam Deck.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I think I'll just again, it's just like I'll do my due diligence, and if a lot of people are recommending this over the Steam Deck, then I'd consider it. I'm
All
not.
right.
Yeah, I'm not like some blind, Steam fanboy. So
No, well, that's what I was saying. Like me, if I'm presented with both options and the reviews are that the Asus is good, like if I didn't have the Steam Deck, I'd probably go for the Asus.
yeah.
So you know,
Yeah.
so
So I
that's
guess if you're looking like I would say based on what we know now, I would lean towards the Asus, subject to reviewers like saying to not buy it for whatever reason.
yeah, and obviously once it gets released and it gets some reviews and people get their hands on it, we'll do our own little review and
Do they have other colors? I think I've just seen it in
I
white.
think
I don't know.
it's just white at the
So I don't
moment.
love that. So I would need to get stickers or something, but
Just stick it
that's not
up.
a big deal.
All right. The last little thing we want to talk about is a Twisted Metal teaser. I don't know if anybody, I don't know who's seen this.
This is very dramatic
Yeah,
intro.
I don't know who's seen this. I've seen it. My thoughts on this are like it'll be all right. Obviously, it's gonna get streamed on Peacock. It's starring Anthony Mackie, the new Captain America. I don't know what they're going for because they didn't really show much. It was just him driving, and they showed Sweet Tooth at the end. This was obviously of the titles that Sony's got in development for TV or in movies or whatever, like God of War and Horizon and all that stuff. This is definitely one that we weren't like, oh shit, Twisted Metal TV show. Super excited. No. But I'm on the side of like it's probably gonna be so bad it's hilariously good. Whereas Nick, what's your thoughts on this?
I think it'll probably just be bad. Uh, Maybe it's like entertaining. I don't know. We'll see. Like
Just
the
bad,
teaser,
bad.
yeah, the teaser didn't really inspire confidence. And I'm a big Anthony Mackie fan, so I was looking forward. Like when they announced he was going to be starring, I was like, okay, that's cool. There's been just a lot of positive momentum with really good game adaptations to TV and film. So I feel like I don't know, based on the teaser, maybe it's like they're trying to intentionally misdirect people, but based on the teaser, I'm like, I don't think this is going to be in the same kind of like conversation as Last of Us or the Mario movie or anything like that. So, yeah, it doesn't look great, and I like despise the music choice that they made in the teaser. Like, it's just like it's like doesn't. When I think of Twisted Metal, like that's just like not what I think about at all. And like I kind of get like maybe what they're trying to do with the tone of it, but I feel like that type of music choice is better executed like in the actual show, like not the first time you're ever revealing like what the show is. So I don't know. I didn't love it.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of eyebrows raised. Hopefully, I think if I played Twisted Metal. I played a bunch of the games. Really enjoyable game, where it's just like a sim racer with a bunch of, I don't want to say wacky because they're not wacky, but just over serious characters that play on a trope. I hopefully they go for that where they focus more on all the racers and how wacky it is and how crazy it is, where you're just running around with weapons on your vehicle and trying to kill each other, and not be serious. Because if this thing is serious, it'll definitely bomb. I think it'll do more as like a satire type of thing, like that old Hanna-Barbera cartoon, Wacky Racers. I think if it kind of leans into like a Wacky Racers type thing, but live action, I think it'll do well. But we'll see. I'm probably gonna watch
Yeah.
it anyways
And I
because of
think
how
it's
bad it
it's
is.
supposed to be like in the '90s. So I don't know. It's
Yeah,
who knows.
it's if they release all the episodes, I will binge it just because it'll be funny. If they release it weekly, then I'm just gonna maybe pick it up one day when I'm super bored and be like, all right.
Yeah.
So we'll see on that.
Yeah.
All right. So that was it for the news and stuff that we wanted to talk about for the week. We're going to move on to some closing thoughts. Starting off, I will be talking about Hogwarts Legacy and Jedi Survivor. So those are the two games I've been playing. Hogwarts Legacy, I had purchased it like a week after it came out because my sister's staying with me for a bit, and she's a huge Harry Potter fan, so she wanted to play it. And then I was also bored last week, so I was like, yeah, I have Hogwarts Legacy, which I haven't played, so I played that. Jedi Survivor obviously came out on Friday, and I purchased that. I purchased Jedi Survivor on my PS5, Hogwarts Legacy on my PC. Two great games, but I would say they're both bogged down by the inconsistencies in gameplay and graphics and all that stuff. Hogwarts Legacy, much more. Obviously, I'm super frustrated because this game has been out for, I want to say, 2 months, 3 months. I think it came out in February. I forget. But it's been out for 3 months, and I think this game has crashed on me like more than 10 times. I'm super mad. Usually when it does crash on me, like if I've been playing for an hour or two, I'm like, all right, that's it. I don't want to go back into this game that just crashed on me. So I stopped playing it, which is very bad because like I'm not the craziest Harry Potter fan, but I do like what they did with the world. You feel like you're at Hogwarts. I do like the characters. Do like the gameplay. It feels very, very good as a Hogwarts game. It's just these issues with the graphics too. Where like when I'm on a cutscene, I see some slow rendering. The graphics look bad. And stuff like that. Like it's very disappointing that this game has been out for so long and it's still plagued with these issues. And every time it crashes, it just makes me want to not play the game. But knowing me, I'm a completionist and I do want to play the game and finish it. So that kind of sucks. And then Jedi Survivor, as far as that goes, I played the first level world that you get into. Played for about 2 hours on PS5. Really enjoying it. I think it's really good. They definitely improved it in terms of what I didn't like about the first one, Fallen Order. In terms of the combat's definitely way better. The traversal for the world is way better. The only issue I'm having with, I would say, it's the combat still, in the sense of like I'm so used to Dark Souls combat. I'm used to Neo combat. I'm used to like all those type of games where it's fast action, fast reaction type thing where when I'm pairing a move or something, like I'm missing. I'm fucking up too much in this game, and I think it's more of the game than me because I shouldn't be that bad. I played enough of these games to kind of get the timing right. I'm not trying to be a snob or anything.
No, this is great. I love this. You're
No,
like,
I'm not,
I suck at the game, and I know it's not me; it's the game.
it's not a hard game, so it's
I
not like
know.
I'm playing bad, but yeah, it does sound very snobby, but
I'm so good at games that it must be the game.
yeah, I'm not trying to be snobby. I don't know, like I was telling you, Nick. I don't know because I'm playing it through my capture card on my PC because I stream 2 hours of it. If you want to, by the way, quick note: if you want to see me stream, Platanero01 on Twitch. But yeah, so I have it through my capture card. So I don't know, maybe there's like an input delay from the capture card to the PlayStation, and because of OBS, and then I'm just not seeing it right away, and I'm not hitting the button when I'm supposed to, or if it's the game itself. But we'll see the more I play it.
We'll just test it without it, dude.
I know, but I want to stream it. And then the other thing that I want to talk about is
No one wants to watch you not be good at Jedi Survivors. So
well, actually, people do want to watch me not be
that's
good
actually
at
not
things.
true.
So
Yeah.
it's-
No, yeah.
That's the joy that my
Keep the lag.
viewers, that's the joy that my viewers get on Twitch is just seeing me play
That's
horribly,
true.
horribly bad. Nobody wants to see a person do good.
Me watching you fall into lakes and Neo was
It's your favorite part.
one of the best things.
Yeah, people love rooting against me, but in a positive way.
That's right.
Shout out to the Pass for that
Yeah.
shirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, other thing I want to talk about is sports. I've been watching the NBA playoffs. It's been really, really exciting. A lot of great teams going against each other. And then today I just watched the Knicks play the Heat. The New York Knicks, hometown team, unfortunately lost. I don't know how far they're going to make it, but they have been playing really well. It's good to see, especially being in New York. Everybody, the people just being super excited about the Knicks team doing good and being in the playoffs, which is kind of crazy. So, that's what I'm doing. What about you? What you been up to?
Definitely not watching sports. That's not true. I did watch. I watched one soccer match, which I haven't done in a while. It was a big.
What's that?
What's soccer?
Yeah, football.
It was a yeah. It was a Premier League game. It was Arsenal versus Manchester City, and I think there's like I don't know, like a few more games to go in the season. Arsenal's currently at the top. They are actually maybe they aren't anymore. I don't know, but this was like a huge game for them to basically determine who's going to win the whole league, and Arsenal got their ass kicked, so they're either currently in second or will likely be in second by the end of the season. So this is a big game.
Exciting football analyst.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't. It wasn't an exciting game because Manchester City just fucking destroyed them. So, it was a big, very meaningful game, but it wasn't like that necessarily the funnest game to watch. So.
It wasn't a competitive game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there you go. I do watch sports every once in a while. I mentioned earlier, most of my game time was with Honkai Star Rail. I don't know if I have anything else to add other than I've been really enjoying it. I got through the first world yesterday, so basically as soon as I'm done editing this podcast, I'm gonna dip back into it and
You're gonna honkai some more.
next.
I feel like that we should use that as an adjective.
Honk or honk.
Honk some more, honkai some more,
Honkai.
honk.
Oh, gun. So I think in last week's episode we were like, how do you pronounce this? Like, is it Honkai? Is it Honkai? Or and I just kind of read it like a Japanese word, so you'd pronounce it like Honkai. And the reason I bring that up is I guess this is maybe the only valuable thing that I heard from the launch show was the actual Hoyoverse employee kept saying Honkai, and then the host, I think she's does stuff with IGN and whatever. She kept because she kept calling it honkai, it was this very emphasized honk, honkai, and then he would be honkai, and then she just never picked up on the cue of. I don't think she realized she was saying it differently, but
I mean, I sympathize with her because I'm so bad at pronouncing things.
Honkai.
I probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah. So yeah, we could try to make that work, but yeah, I'll probably continue playing that. I think that's going to be like my go-to game over the next week or two until Tears of the Kingdom. The other thing that's maybe noteworthy is the Street Fighter 6 demo came out on all platforms. It came out on PlayStation platforms a couple weeks ago, and they had like a week head start on this demo. So they came out on the same day as Honkai Star Rail. So that was a big day on Wednesday where I was gonna wake up and have these two things to look forward to. But I actually didn't really. I maybe put like 30 minutes into the Street Fighter 6 demo. I actually don't think the big draw there was the World Tour mode. So like creating an avatar and then going into the World Tour mode. But then when I learned that none of the progress from the World Tour mode carries over, I think I might have misread something. So the only thing that'll carry over is the avatar that you create, but nothing that you actually do in the World Tour mode carries over. So once I learned that, I'm like, I don't want to play this and then need to replay it again when I actually get the game. So I pretty much tuned out of that after a little bit, and then I just played a few versus matches. It only has two characters. It's Ryu and Luke, and not really interested in playing as any of those characters. So it was just like,
I think that's my main reasoning for not playing it, because I thought I was gonna like really get into it when it was announced that they were doing the beta. But I think my main reasoning is twofold. One, they only have two characters, Ryu and Luke, and two, I don't want to like put too much time into it, especially knowing that I'm gonna be probably maining a different character than those two, and also like I don't want to start learning too much about the whole fighting game thing, because I think this will be the first, like we've talked about before, this will be the first fighting game that I'm like gonna try and really, really get into it and become good at. So I don't want to like learn too much before I learn with my main or whatever type thing. So I think that's what's kind of holding me back. But from what I'm seeing, I'm enjoying everything that they're doing. Still looks great. I'm excited for it.
yeah, me not playing with the demo that much doesn't really. It's not that I'm no longer interested in the game. Like, it just didn't have that much more content that I thought was worth experiencing versus just waiting. So I'll just wait for the full game. I mean, us playing the network test was like way better because we had more characters,
more characters.
And being able to play online against each other. So like if I hadn't spent so much time with the network test, maybe my view on the demo would be a little bit different. But so yeah, that's pretty much it.
If you hadn't spent so much time throwing me,
Throwing you, yeah, dude.
Oh.
How many wins did I get? Like 90 something.
It was over 90. But in my defense, I started getting better towards the end, and I did win a couple.
It's true.
So
Progress.
That competitive spirit's still going to be there when it releases. Only other thing I want to say about that is I know that Capcom Fighters, I think it's what they're called, that they released a statement saying that they know some people have been playing the cracked version of it.
Oh yeah.
On Steam, so they're going to penalize a couple people if they find out. Which is kind of throwing the fighting game community in a bit of a loop.
Well, yeah, it's that definitely like created some controversy on FGC Twitter and other communities. But the way they worded it, it almost made it seem like if you previously, like up until that point in time, if you had previously used a tool to open up, they basically cracked the beta. That's fine. So it's not like a retrospective thing. It's only like people that they identify going forward would be, banned. So I think that's fine. Like, it's like one of those things, like you kind of go on this like witch hunt, and people were playing this older version of the game. Like, what do they really get? Like, they get like maybe a couple months head start, but like in the in the lifetime of Street Fighter 6, like that doesn't really that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, it's just everybody trying to get that competitive edge because Evo 2023 in Vegas is gonna feature Street Fighter 6. So I think everybody's just kind of
Yeah,
wants that
maybe
competitive
Evo.
edge.
Yeah, maybe Evo. But I don't know. I mean, there's like $1 million prize pool for the actual like Capcom Pro Tour now. So I think that's why people are kind of upset because there's such a big prize pool, and they think this cracked beta will like lead to some advantage. Like I just don't really see that being the case. I do think it's like if they could find an easy way to ban people, like they should just like I think it's absolutely a bannable thing. I just don't know if they're going to put that much effort into like actually trying to find people and have the evidence and all that, because I think it'll create like a lot of hostility with the community, which I don't know. It's
Yeah.
a tricky one.
Well, if anything, it's more press for them, and it'll have people talking more about Street Fighter. Not that they need it, but yeah. All right. Well, that's it for us. That's it for us. Thanks for joining us on another great episode of Pressing Buttons. Don't forget to follow us and subscribe to us on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, all those social media stuff that we don't post enough
Yeah,
in.
we're on Instagram, right?
Yeah, we're on there. We might not
Still not
post a
TikTok?
lot. Still not TikTok. We're not that
Okay.
young.
Yeah.
And don't forget to join our Discord. We've had a good influx of people this week, which we're super excited about. The more people know about the podcast, the more people join Discord, the bigger the community is, and they can play games with each other. So super excited about that. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode. I'm Hugo. Bye.
I'm Nick. Later.